And the hip-hop people are going to say the exact same thing. I didn't realize you used strings. I didn't realize that this was involved in that kind of thing. I mean, every time I talk to my friends about some of the people that I record with and that it uses this kind of instrumentation, they're fascinated by it.
What I remember they told me in an interview, say for Meteora, is there were songs where they rewrote the choruses 20 times. That, you know, they would sit on it and they say, okay, you know, this chorus is good, but let's write 5 more choruses and see if we can write one better.
When Linkin Park came out with the Meteora album, they called me afterwards and told me that I had gotten a mention on the album. And I was really pretty flattered because I didn't know that they were going to do that. But it's, you know, it's always a nice kind of, hey, thanks, because I work really hard for these guys, and it's great to, you know, sort of turn around and see that you've gotten a little bit of a thank you on something like that. You know, ink's expensive for 60 million copies.
When I first heard the songs on Meteora that we had played on, it's a big smile brings to your face, because you can really, first of all, you can feel the energy that we put into it. The energy that we put into a session and into the music is directly in relation to how they treated us. And they were so friendly and they were so upbeat. Everything we did, every take, we just gave more and more. And so you can hear that, and that's a great feeling.
I'm an old Grateful Dead head, and I'm a classically trained pianist, so I come from that, you know, that sort of background a little bit more, and, you know, from a jazz background and a blues background and all this kind of thing. But I like Linkin Park's music. It's immediately catchy.
When you see violinists and violists and cellists, you don't usually see them, you know, going like this, and I just remember that feeling, and it was like now, it just brought a smile.
It's immediately recognizable, and that's one of the things that's terrific that you notice about a great artist or a significant band. The minute you hear them, you realize that's who it is. I always like it when my customers do well.
Linkin Park are very much a touring band. On the road for most of the year, they never disappoint their fans.
The gigs that they played in the early days were very good gigs. They were fortunate because I was in their corner, I was working with them. I was the booker at the Whiskey A Go Go, I was the booker at the Roxy. So I put them on really good shows at both of those clubs. They didn't have to go do any smaller outlaying clubs or anything like that. Their fraternity club party gigs were really good for them as well, because it brought a lot of the frat houses and a lot of the college kids from all the different schools in as well.
It's like they attract people of all ages. Young people, old people, people bring their kids to the shows, and they all equally enjoy it. And not a lot of groups can do that.
I remember going to what I would imagine was their first gig in the UK.
They had an extreme amount of energy, and it was unending. They were jumping all over the stage and really into their music.
And it was really exceptional how the fans reacted and how energized the fans were and how energized the band was and really how tight the band was.
I mean, the gig was very vibey, their fans were well up for it. And let's face it, they are a good band at the end of the day.
Well, Linkin Park's show is very, very animated, kind of like their videos. They're very, like I said, it's very visual.
They were cocky on stage. They knew what they were doing. They had guts, they had balls, they did it well. They weren't afraid of the crowd.
You know, you could tell that they were really meticulous in every detail in the way they wanted to communicate their music, the way they wanted their music represented.
You knew they were special, that certain intimate feeling that you got with the band when they were playing. They were playing for you. That was one of the qualities that stood out with them.
And it was really interesting just to see the two dueling vocalists. You know, to have one person that's an MC and the other that's doing, you know, the melodic harmonies and choruses.
When you went to see Linkin Park, they were like, you're here so that we can perform for you. You know, and that was important, and you could feel that, you could sense that. That was the soul of the band, the essence of the band. that made them special compared to a lot of other bands that broke out at the same time as they did.
Yeah, who wanna rip with styles? The whole place on the lookout for me.
The reaction from the crowd is insane. They, girls passing out and stuff.
The second Linkin Park stepped on stage, I mean, the whole entire place just lit up. I mean, fans are so loyal and dedicated to them that you truly felt the loyalty. They loved it. I mean, every show was just insane.
I would say over the years, as Linkin Park has developed their live show, they definitely have tried to create more of a show. A lot of times they were working with whatever budget constraints they had in the early days. Now that they have larger budgets, they really want to make sure that it's a multimedia experience.
Fans raging, screaming, singing every lyric, and just hands up, lighters, shirts, bras, whatever. But it was great.
You get the impression that in their live shows today, it's not something that they're just outsourcing to a bunch of video guys. You can tell that they really have a hand in everything that they do.
Their performances are awesome. They are really high energy. They interact with the crowd well. They give the people what they paid for, and they don't get up there and do some rock star bullshit that a lot of these groups do. And I think that comes through to their fans, and their fans are really loyal to them for that. And you get your money's worth when you go to a Linkin Park show.
When we went on tour with them, it was definitely our biggest tour we've ever been on. I mean, huge arenas and just great exposure for us. And it was crazy, but it was our first shot as basically, getting exposed to a whole nother fan base. So that was a great experience for us, and it was a lot of fun.
It's just cool to tour with some band when they're starting and then they blow up really big and you still got all the posters to look back on, show your kids later on.
They had nice little neat deli platters and little fruit platters, and you got your chips and dips.
I'm not gonna expose their secrets, but we have our dressing room and they have their dressing room. And our dressing room is fully stocked with crap, and they'll sneak in one by one and take a little drink and stuff like that.
Plenty of water and tea and, nothing really extreme that I see. No extreme like red or yellow M&Ms and nothing like that.
Rather than relying on being someone else's bill, Linkin Park have set up their own music festival, Project Revolution. Linkin Park, Snoop Dogg and Korn made for an interesting lineup for their third Project Revolution tour in 2004, but that's the idea.
Rap and rock do go hand in hand. There's a whole section of the rock market that would say they shouldn't. However, Linkin Park and Korn are both very much rap-influenced bands.
I think the reason that Linkin Park started Project Revolution was really it's the same impetus for so much of what they do, and that's really they wanted complete creative control.
There's a great deal of sense to be said in trying to marry up and cross over styles like that.
I think what you're going to have different fans coming to something like Project Revolution. The die-hard Linkin Park fans, maybe they're not going to like every act on there, but they're going to trust Linkin Park's judgment. They're going to defer, because obviously you can't like everything. God forbid you put out a tour where everyone likes everything. It would just be like the Mickey Mouse tour. It'd be terrible.
It is a way of pulling in a wider audience than would just go along to one or two of the bands. However, I think it goes deeper than that. It's an overview of the youth culture at the moment.
So certainly people are going to have favorites